I've never really believed in anything paranormal. Not ghosts, not shadows, not that feeling people talk about of being watched. I always thought there's a logical explanation for everything. But moving to a new country does something to you. Everything looks exciting on the outside. New university, new people, new life. And yet, something feels slightly off. Like you don't fully belong there yet. That's how it felt when I moved to Stuttgart. But that's not what stayed with me. What stayed with me was what was waiting for me when I woke up. It was winter when I arrived, and winter there felt different. It got dark early, too early. By late afternoon, it already felt like night. I still remember the first time I went out to buy groceries. The roads were empty, no people, no cars, just cold air and silence. In a new country, that kind of silence doesn't feel peaceful. It feels wrong. I remember walking faster than usual, not because I saw something, but because I felt like I shouldn't be there alone. And that feeling followed me back to my room. The dorm was on campus, and usually it was full of life. Music from rooms, people laughing, doors opening and closing. It felt safe, but the campus itself was slightly outside the city, and beyond it, there was nothing but greenery and forest. My room was on the ground floor. At first, I thought that was lucky. No stairs, easy access, and a large window. At the time, it just felt like a normal room. I tried to settle into a routine. Classes in the morning, trying to understand lectures, people, everything. Afternoons in the library. Even when I was surrounded by people, I still felt alone. There was one person I started seeing almost every day. Just a nod at first, a simple hi. But slowly, those moments became conversations. And somehow, that made things easier. One evening, I mentioned my room, how it felt different at night. She asked, "Ground floor?" I nodded. She paused, then said, "Just keep your curtains closed at night." It didn't feel casual. During the day, the window felt normal. Sunlight, trees, open space. But at night, it became something else. There were no lights outside, just darkness. The kind where you can't tell if you're looking out or something is looking in. Sometimes I stood near it, trying to see something, but the longer I looked, the more it felt like I wasn't the one observing anymore. And slowly, I stopped standing near it at night. What disturbed me the most wasn't the darkness, it was the silence. Because this dorm was never silent, there was always something. But that night, there was nothing. No voices, no movement. It felt like the entire building had stopped. The silence didn't feel empty. It felt focused. Like it was waiting. I suddenly felt like something was there, outside, right behind the curtain. I tried to ignore it, but the feeling didn't go away. So I stood up, walked closer, until I was right in front of the window. All I had to do was move the curtain. But right before I did, I stopped. Something inside me said, "Don't." And I listened. I stepped back and didn't check. I stepped back from the window and got into bed again. I told myself it was nothing, just my imagination, but the feeling didn't go away. I lay there, trying to relax, trying to sleep, but something still felt off, like the room hadn't gone back to normal, and slowly I drifted into sleep. And that's when it started. I became aware, not fully awake, not fully asleep, but conscious. And I felt it. Someone was watching me. Someone was watching me. I couldn't see clearly, but I knew exactly where it was. At the window. A face, still watching. I tried to move. I couldn't. And I knew it wasn't just watching anymore. It was trying to come in. I reach for my phone. It's always next to my bed. Always. But this time, my hand touched nothing. I searched again, faster. Nothing. And then I realized it had fallen under the bed. That's when fear changed. Because now I had to look down into the darkest part of the room. And something inside me said, "Don't, because if I did, I wouldn't be alone anymore." And then I woke up. Silence. No face. No presence. Just my room. It was just a dream. I reached for my phone. It wasn't there. This time, I didn't panic. I already knew. Slowly, I leaned down and looked under the bed. My phone was exactly where it had been in the dream. I didn't move. I didn't even reach for the phone. For a few seconds, I just stared. Because I already knew. My heart was racing, but my body wouldn't move. Slowly, I pulled the blanket over myself. Completely. I turned my back to the window and stayed still. Because at that moment, I was sure of one thing. If something was there, it was behind me. I didn't sleep. Or maybe I did. I don't know. Time didn't feel normal anymore. I didn't turn. I didn't check. I didn't want to know what was behind me. I just stayed like that until I could see light. When I finally opened my eyes, it was morning. Sunlight. Everything looked normal again. But I wasn't. I kept thinking about it. The dream, the phone, the window. I tried to explain it, but something didn't fit. Because in the dream, I didn't remember dropping it. I discovered it, and that's what stayed with me. After that night, I stopped sleeping the same way. I always turned my back to the window. Sometimes I woke up and stayed completely still, not because I heard something, but because I didn't want to know if something was there. Because I knew if it was, it would be behind me. And even now, I'm not sure whether that night was just a dream or something else. Because at that moment, I didn't know anymore which part was the dream.